starts from Olodumare, which is translated as the controller of the universe. That entity would be known as our supreme being. From that entity, we have the Orisha. These divine beings are various expressions of the Supreme Being who were charged by the Supreme Being to create the world.
This common version of the Yoruba creation myth discloses something about the relation between Olodumare and the lesser divinities called Orishas. Each Orisha is a representation or manifestation of Olodumare's power, but none is Olodumare. Only Olodumare is supreme.
The other deities play a very important role. They're more active in human affairs. The Supreme Being is kind of represented by these other deities who each have their own shrine, have their own priesthood, have their own set of taboos and sacred objects and sacred places, and govern particular aspects of human behavior or of our global condition. And you don't really have that in the Western religious form.
Olodumare actually recedes into the background of Yoruba mythology, but his power and presence is manifested and communicated in myths that personify nature and nature's processes. The earth, the rivers, lagoons and seas, all are respected as persons or gods. Sometimes Olodumare is even portrayed as some great person who lived long ago. Orisha Nla, sometimes called Obatala, is a manifestation of Olodumare. This Orisha, or lesser god, is the creator, the shaper of human forms. Although Obatala usually is androgynous, he is most often described as male. He is the maker of babies in the womb. He even creates the deformed and the misshapen, so to mock these unfortunate creatures is to mock Obatala himself. It is not altogether clear just what the relationship is between Obatala and the other Orishas. But according to Yoruba mythology, apparently there is a hierarchy of Orishas. Some have their origin from Olodumare himself. According to the first version of the creation myth, these Orishas originally abide with Olodumare in the heavens, and they assist Obatala in his creative work. These Orishas are also primordial deities. Among them are Eshu, Shango, Ile, and Orunmila. Orunmila also bears the title Babalawo, the father of mysteries. He is sent with Obatala to give guidance. Eshu, another primordial Orisha, is represented in Yoruba mythology as the prankster. In fact, a prankster or trickster appears in many African traditional mythologies. Muslims and Christians often associate Eshu with Satan, the accuser or deceiver. The association is not altogether misleading because Eshu challenges and he tests. He also has great knowledge of the secret desires and destinies of devotees.
Eshu is the owner of all decisions, because decisions are located at a crossroad. That means you go one way, you go the other, you decide this, you decide that. So Eshu is the Orisha that a worshiper would appeal to for assistance and clarity in making this decision.
Eshu provokes strife and wrong behavior among persons in order to form virtue among them, and in this way he ultimately causes moral order and religious devotion. He's often represented in a human shape, with horns on its head and with a club or knife nearby. Sometimes he's a little man who while being pompous is also self-conscious of his small stature. In some traditions, Eshu is represented by a phallus. In Yoruba myths, he is almost always near calamity, and in one myth he even causes calamity among the other primordial orishas. Shango, like Obatala and Eshu, is a primordial deity. Finally, Ile, or Mother Earth, is another of the primordial orishas. It is believed that at birth we rest on her, and at death we return to her womb. And at every meal, the ancestors who dwell in her are honored with a few drops of drink poured on the ground. Ogun, the divinity of war and the patron of iron, lives on the edge of society. He is the patron of hunting and foresters. Ogun is innovative, aware of what's happening in other societies. He is in touch with the spirits in skies, wood, grassland, and technology. It is said that where two pieces of iron are put together and his name called upon them, Ogun is there. Among the Shona of Zimbabwe, ancestors are the intercessors between the supreme god and the community of the living. The Shona believe that the supreme god is a metaphysical being that does not interact directly with the human community. Spiritual relations between gods and humans are understood to occur through the ancestors, who as spirits can communicate with the high god. But Shona ancestors also are human spirits who remain connected to their earthly society. Yet however human beings may be conceived among traditional people, they are almost always connected to the divine world, either by their spirit or by destiny. Ancestor devotion implies interdependency because ancestors mediate the community's life with the divine life. Ancestors actively participate in both the realms of the dead and the living. The Jogi, which are the plural of Jok, are not always either friendly or evil presences at certain shrines. These spirits and powers also are involved in the society's conflicts with other Jogi. Some of these Jogi are thought to bring about calamity, especially sickness. The Acholi practice rituals to appease or extirpate them, sometimes by long and tortuous ordeals. The Acholi healing ritual first involves a practitioner, a diviner, who diagnoses an affliction as having been caused by a joke. Joined by the attendants and the family, the healer and his or her assistants will sing joke songs. Drums and rattle gourds will be used to sound various rhythms. In the process, sometimes the joke might possess the healer, causing him or her to shake violently. If this happens, the ritual will stop. The healer may have to call for someone with more experience, seniority and strength in order to continue the treatment. Traditional African medicines are made from tree bark, sap, and extracts from roots and other herbal sources. But as we've observed in the Acholi ritual healing, pharmaceutical treatment and divination cooperate in restoring vitality to one whose sickness is understood essentially to be a spiritual ailment. The Yoruba, like others committed to African traditional religions, regard human beings as composite. The spirit returns to Olodumare, the supreme deity, while the body returns to Ile, Mother Earth. After a death,